Today I've got the Super Duty in the shop. It's been a little bit neglected and we have a little bit of work that we need to do. So I need to replace the radiator in this as it's leaking from the top seam. I need to replace the fan clutch because the bearings are worn out and it's got some play in the shaft on it. And I also need to replace the serpentine belt. So let's not waste any time. Let's start tearing into the old Powerstroke. The first thing we need to accomplish in the process of replacing the radiator is to drain it. And underneath there's a petcock. I have a bucket underneath. I have my degas bottle open. While it's draining, I'm going to go ahead and take the overflow hose off the radiator. Just going to stick that back in the bottle. And I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the upper radiator hose and take it off. Next, we're going to take our bolts out, securing the shroud. We're going to go ahead and remove our radiator brackets. And we're doing this before we lift the shroud out so that we can move this radiator back a little bit and get the shroud out. Now we're going to fish our hot side cable out through the top. I'm going to go ahead and remove this rubber shroud and then pull up our clips that hold the power cable in. Alright, now with that out of our way, we can take our positive cable and just lay it up here out of the way to give us a little more room to wiggle the radiator back. Now start snaking your shroud out. We're going to loosen up our lower radiator hose now. There will be some coolant that still comes out of this because there's some in the block. It's going to be a fair amount, so just be prepared. Next, we want to undo our transmission cooler lines that are part of the radiator. I've already loosened mine up. It's a 19 millimeter on the outside, and I think I used 1 1/8 inch on the inside because it's what I had. I'm trying to keep track of how much transmission fluid that I lose so I can add that much back in. I will be doing a DIY transmission flush video later down the road, but for now we're just going to replace the fluid we took out. Now we should be able to start removing our radiator. Disconnect the harness for your fan clutch. Next comes removing the fan stator, and I remember this all too well. They're 15 millimeter bolts, one back here and one back here, and then there's some underneath as well. I'm just loosening them up by hand first. The fan stator is a fun one down below. There's a bolt right here, and you can't see it, but a bolt up in there as well that you get from the front. I won't be able to show these on camera, but you know where they're at. I'm going to be using this gear wrench kit to remove the fan clutch off of the water pump shaft. Looks like it's a gear wrench kit 3950. It has this bar which locks onto the pulley for the belt, and this wrench which gets on the fan clutch nut. What you're going to be doing is sticking that spanner wrench in the hole for the pulley to help keep it from turning, and then you see the nut for the fan clutch back there where that wrench is going to go. Well, what I've done here is lock that spanner wrench against the alternator pulley, and I have the wrench on the fan clutch nut, and I'm just trying to loosen it up. And there it is. Once you've broken the hub nut free, just spin your fan off. And then lift your assembly out. Now you can get a better look at that spanner wrench tool and see I have it locked in one of the holes. I have it pinned right here at the alternator pulley. And you can see there's lots of room for activities in here. Now is a good time to change your belt. This is your tensioner right here, and that's what we're going to do next. Now on your tensioner, you'll see that you have a 1/2 inch drive opening here, and over on this side, you have a lock that will actually lock this tensioner in place. Rotating the tensioner down and locking it in place. It's a good idea to get it around your tensioner first. We got bigger problems. That's the pulley for my air conditioner compressor. That kind of puts us at a stop right here. Check the rest of your pulleys while you're here too. That's no bueno.
Several days later.
Alright, it's a few days later. I received my parts. I got the parts for my air conditioning compressor, but I also ordered a belt tensioner, and we're going to replace that right now. These are 10 millimeters. There's a bolt in the middle and a bolt right here. So we're going to go ahead, especially with all this room in here, we're going to go ahead and replace this now. I'm going to start by taking off our front bolt to the compressor. Take our clutch off the front. Now there's a snap ring here on the front we have to get off. Now with the snap ring off, we should be able to slide this off. It's not sliding quite as much as I'd like to. I think we're going to go ahead and get this harness out of the way just so we don't damage it. Just tuck that back in there for now. Probably be good to use a puller at this point to pull this off. All right, we're sliding the clutch and pulley off. And there's bearings and everything else that were causing that problem. Now we need to get this off. We're going to see if we can pry off this part of the clutch. It's kind of pressed on. We'll work side to side a little bit. Looks like we're getting a little bit of movement there. Keep in mind this has been on here since 2004 or 2003 when this truck was built. So it's been on there a minute. There's the old clutch. Now what I'm going to do is just clean up this whole area where the new clutch will slide onto, just so we get some of this grime out of here and some of this corrosion that's on here out. Just give it a nice clean surface to slide onto. Alright, here's the back side of the new clutch. Make sure you go where you're supposed to go because this connector slips in to a groove in the compressor. Now we need to go ahead and set our pulley in. It should slide on pretty easy. We'll just rock it back and forth till we're seated. There we are. We're on. Now we need to put our new snap ring into place. I got my glove in it. This is one of the bad things about working with gloves. Just make sure your snap ring is seated. I'm just going to work around and push with a screwdriver just to make sure we're seated. Alright, now we're going to put the outside of the clutch on. And when we stick this on, we need to measure an air gap. There's supposed to be an air gap between the outside of the clutch and the pulley. They should not be rubbing. Now our gap is supposed to be between 0.018 and 0.030. I'm going with 0.024 because it's right in the middle there. And just see, you can see I need some shims in here. I'm going to grab a couple shims. I've put in 2 shims for now just to make sure that, just to see where we end up. I'm going to tighten that up. I'm just going to, not completely, but lightly loose or tighten this up for now. And we're going to check our gap. We're going to check this in 3 different spots. I think we're okay right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and send her home. Next we're going to go for the belt tensioner install. Get that bolt started. At this point we can put our belt back on.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one. Only one.
In case you wanted to know, there is a 6.0 belt routing. We'll go ahead and release our tension. There we are. New belt installed. Now we're going to do the fan clutch replacement. And to do that, we're going to remove these bolts to unbolt the fan from the clutch. Now, this is the fan stator, it's called. It's this plastic piece goes behind the fan, gets in the way of everything. I'm deleting it. Now, before you go off on me, this has been debated a lot, and a lot of people have removed this with no ill effects. I'm not going to throw it away though, but what I am going to do is install without it, see how it goes. If I notice anything, I'll take it back apart, put this back on. So I'm going to hang on to it for now. But let's get our clutch off. I like my Hercules. Hercules, Hercules.
Oh, Hercules, 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 Hercules.
Fan clutch, gone. Fan stator, gone. New fan clutch, incoming. It's not necessary, but I'm going to do this in a cross pattern. New clutch installed. Now what I'll do is the harness for the clutch, I will strap this up and out of the way. I'll probably make a bracket for it. Let's get our fan on. Now to start the fan, we're just going to put it on the hub and spin the fan clockwise. I'm going to finish this off with that fan hub wrench set that I showed you earlier. I think we're tight. Radiator incoming. I'm going to go down below and just check we're lining up where we're supposed to be. Hook up my radiator hoses and transmission lines, and then we'll come up top. Going back on with our brackets. We are getting close now. Going back in with our fan shroud. I'm just going to go underneath and make sure our tabs are lining up. Alright guys, time to add coolant back to the system. If you do not have one of these, you should probably question what you're doing with your life. These are really nice. They really help you put the coolant in and avoid air bubbles. I do have a vacuum bleeder. I just didn't want to use it because this works well. And I haven't had any problems getting the air back out of a 6.0. Everything is buttoned up, coolant is back in, and it's time to now fire this up and let it run through its paces for a little bit. All right, we're ready for first startup after this repair. Make sure you double check your work and that you got everything. Tighten everything up before you start the truck. There's a lot of power behind these engines, so you don't want things flying around all over the place. I did make a bracket for my fan clutch. I'm okay with the bracket. I don't think it's my favorite, but it works. It keeps it out of the fan. But anyway, let's start the truck up and see how we did. It does appear as if our AC is working. That's good. All right, that's going to do it on the Super Duty. Now on a DIY scale of 1 to 10, I would give this job a 5. This is absolutely doable at your own home. You could even do it out in the driveway if you really wanted to. It's not that hard. And most times you're not going to run into the snag that I did of the AC compressor clutch going out. But I'm glad I was able to get to show you how to do that. So that's going to do it for this video. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, sign up for notifications. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.